don't move to Denver unless you guys are paying attention to these 5 things.
Oh.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. We are the Mile High Property Brothers. Getting right into it, these 5 things, super important. Some of these you might not heard before, and definitely pay attention toward the end, toward that last one. I guarantee you haven't heard this one.
That's right. So to kick it off, guys, once you start your search to Denver or the surrounding metro areas, one of the things that you're going to realize is that we are very much a suburban dependent type of community or city, right?
We've talked about this before, but maybe not to the extent that people really understand what we're talking about when it comes to the fact of, like, I'll just be really blunt. A lot of folks don't even go into Denver.
Yep.
Maybe for a football game, maybe for a basketball game, but there's not this huge need to go. And folks that are even coming from California, Chicago, that almost survived off of like a major city, they live out here. But these suburban areas are like these utopias that have anything and everything you would need inside, to where it almost eliminates the need, or what you think might be a need, of going to downtown Denver. So what does that mean for you when you guys are coming here? It's not necessarily a bad thing. What it means is keep an open mind on some of these areas that we're showing you guys through other videos, whether it's Google Earth that Eli's piloting you guys through, or some other things. You might not need to be as close to Denver as you think because of how self-sufficient these areas are, and they're phenomenal. But this is where, if you just can't get past having an open mind and considering some of these things, it could hurt you in the long run, or maybe you might not want to be here.
Yeah, and then, you know, one thing I would say too is that, hey, every neighborhood is a cookie cutter, copy and paste version of the other one.
No.
Each neighborhood, each city is going to have its own individual characteristics. A lot of these neighborhoods might have been built in the 1950s and 60s if you're out in Denver or Littleton or Arvada. And then a lot of them might be brand new communities with pools
100%.
and clubhouses and all sorts of cool modern amenities.
A lot of them do offer that when it comes to pools and the community center, but the style and look of them are significantly different. But just giving you guys some examples, when you're looking at Central Park and the I-70 expansion over there and everything that's going on, when you compare that to even Wash Park, that's not that far away. It's not the same thing. Like the style, design, Wash Park, amazing. Central Park, so many cool, new, innovative things that are coming. Both really close to downtown Denver.
Yep.
Both have a lot of clients from us that are there. Not too many of them actually travel into Denver unless it's for just the games and things like that. But if you compare that to developments in Highlands Ranch or Southeast Aurora, they're still so different, not only with builders that are there, some overlap, you've got some bigger national builders that are there, but just the structure, the look, the feel. I will say the one thing that is congruent no matter where you go is the Colorado feel, per se, of like just parks, trails, sidewalks, how they integrate some of the landscape in and out of the neighborhood to make you feel like even if you're going outside of your front door to go on a walk with your dog or with your kiddos or just by yourself or your significant other, you still have the atmospherics, right, of like Colorado. I will say that'd be the one thing that's congruent, but just different looks.
Despite all this talk about new build communities and whatnot, one of the things that you guys will find is that we don't actually have a ton of new build communities. There's a lot of other places out there, like, you know, consider some places in California, Texas, you know, other places on the East Coast where it's just new build after new build after new build. In Colorado, with the whole west side pretty much already being developed, you are gonna find some new builds on the south side near Castle Rock, on the east side just outside of Aurora, and then on the north side where it is just more kind of like rural open farmland.
Believe it or not, Colorado is such a great place to live. Even though you've got some folks that move out of the state of Colorado, you also have folks that move and stay within Colorado. And believe it or not, some folks that have like pre-existing homes, a lot of them have sold and moved into a new build. So don't think that the only thing you're gonna have available here is a new build. There is a lot of consistent pre-existing homes that are available
that's
for
mostly what we have.
Numerous reasons, right? So don't think it's just about these new build communities that you're gonna have to be in. There's plenty of pre-existing homes that are in these locations that you guys would love.
Yeah, that's true. So on that side, some people are coming here and they're like, hey, where are all the new build communities, right? Again, we have some, but you're not gonna see, like you go to Texas, there's just new build communities everywhere you turn. There's nothing but room to grow over there. Outside of here, again, there's like 3 kind of select areas, but you're gonna see a lot of these pre-existing homes like he's talking about.
You go to Texas, you're not gonna have the mountains.
That's right, that's
You're not gonna have me.
That's right.
You're not gonna have Eli.
That's right.
You're not gonna have wildlife like we have. You do. I think you got like a bunch of snakes down there that want to eat you.
They do. And
we
boars,
love Texas.
a lot of boars
Texas
down there.
We don't love Texas. That's not true. Austin was a lot of fun. We were down there training some agents, which was super cool. But either way, things to definitely consider. And speaking of not being in Texas, we are not gonna be in Texas because we are here, reminding you that we are licensed brokers here in the state of Colorado, and just so much we love making these videos. We would love more to help you with those real estate needs. So that number that's popping up below, we are the guys trying to the phone calls, text messages, and those emails. So if we can help you, we would love to. But with that being said, let's get into the next point.
What you're gonna find when you move here is that we don't have a lot of walkability, right? When it comes to living in Denver or even in the surrounding suburban areas, low walkability means you're gonna need to buy a car. but there's a good reason that you're going to want a car when you're out here.
I never fail to mention Eli saying you could have a two-wheel drive Honda Civic out here for all seasons.
Don't get them wrong, there are plenty of people here that have Honda Civics, Toyota Camrys,
Subarus.
But if you're driving the other ones, they're just front-wheel drive.
If you have a Honda Civic with studded tires and you still get stuck, I just call this number because we're here to help you. Just make sure you're asking for Eli and what came out of his mouth.
Every time.
And you could get by. You're not here to get by. You're here to enjoy every single season for what it is, including the winter and including going to the mountains in the winter. Kick the Honda Civic, get you an all-wheel drive, get you an SUV, you guys will be good to go. But being more specific to that point, once you get where you're going, you can walk all you want. Once you get downtown, you can walk around on 16th Street Mall, Pearl Street, and have a great time. Once you get to Red Rocks Amphitheater, you can walk, you can hike, you can run the stairs, you can hike the trails, and have a great time. All the national parks, whatever it may be, but there's a lot of space in Colorado. We're still pretty unincorporated. Things tend to be spaced out, per se. So
it's true.
Even like these suburban areas, you're not gonna walk to the grocery store, right? In my opinion. Pretty good sized lots, even in new build communities for the most part. And yet these developments are pretty big. So even like, for example, where I live in South Shore, we're not too far into it. We're right by the water, but we're probably 7 minutes from the grocery store driving, which would put, 25-minute walk. Like, they're just big, awesome developments, but you're definitely gonna get in your car to go somewhere. But again, once you're there, if you guys are going out for recreational reasons, whatever it may be, whether it's downtown or anything else, you'll be good to go.
And guys, this even applies, I know we're talking for suburban, this even applies for downtown, right? Actually, there's not a lot of downtown just living, right? Unless you're in a condo or townhome downtown, that's all you'll find down there. When I refer to downtown, a lot of times what I'm referring to is what you guys are probably referred to as urban suburban, right? Where you live in the surrounding parks right outside of Denver, but you're in the city. Even on those guys, you're most likely gonna want a vehicle, because even if you live close to like a Pearl Street or somewhere where there are some grocery stores and restaurants, and you might have 4 or 5 places to choose from, and you're just gonna wanna go somewhere else sometimes.
There's some places that you might wanna go to, several places, but they're a couple blocks apart. You've got RTD, you've got the buses that are down there. It's just not necessarily Washington, D.C. or downtown LA or Chicago, some things that you might think. If you guys are living in like the Highlands, which is super close to lower downtown, as far as like being in a single family home or whatnot, like you're still gonna have to cross the highway. That part isn't terrible. Like there's definitely some walkability to it, but just depending on the pattern or how much you guys are wanting to go out and do, like people tend to use their cars a lot.
And that brings us to our next point, which we'll touch on a little bit. We won't go too on about it, but that is the lack of public transportation. Now, again, we do have light rail. That's like our monorail type of system, right? I was trying to think if it's called anything else.
It's just limited in how far it offers when it comes to around the Denver metro. So you guys know my little clock routine, right? If Denver is the center of a clock and you guys are looking at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, all the way around to 11 o'clock, there's probably 3 areas that light rail system reaches out to, whether it's Southeast Aurora, it does kind of go west into some Denver.
Arvada area. Lakewood.
But there's just a lot of areas and it doesn't quite reach it. It does go out to the airport, which is amazing, which is awesome.
12 to 6, you're solid.
Yeah.
It's got a great north-south, but then only a few branches that really break off east and west. If you live downtown, it connects all over the place. But once you get out of downtown Denver, guys, it's very limited. And what I would say is where you'll see people utilize it the most for suburban areas is they will go and maybe park at a big parking lot by one of the stops, and then they'll take the train downtown to a football game, right?
And that can be great because a lot of folks do park down there. Sometimes traffic does get busy on the highway going to a game. If you want to hop on 9 Mile or 20 Mile and head down to the game and then take the light rail back, definitely not a bad option.
Now, moving on to our next point, let's talk about lot sizes here. Now,
No, go ahead.
Hit it.
No.
Now,
I tend to like them. I think they're pretty good. They're really solid. I just spoke about this earlier. He's going to get into more specifically if you guys can get some acreage and things like that.
That's right.
With everybody and where you guys are coming, a lot of folks really love our lots and lot sizes of a 1/4 acre and 1/8 of an acre, which I think are awesome. Some folks want more. The answer is yes, you guys can have more. We are unincorporated. There's still some space for things like that. But some of these areas are filling up to a point to where you're just not going to get full acres everywhere that you guys might think. There is some to offer in Southeast Aurora. You've got Elkhorn Ranch. You've got some places in Castle Rock. You've got some places in Elizabeth. They're going to seem really far away from Denver when you guys see how well our transportation works here when it comes to commute. So your drivability of getting in and out of Denver and how many ways you can go about doing that. And you realize you can live all the way in Castle Rock and you're 34 minutes away from being downtown. You can travel a long way here because of our infrastructure, but you are going to have to travel a little bit when it comes to like the acres. And can you tell he's defending acres? Because Eli lives on acreage.
Well, and it is something, a question that we get from a lot of you guys, coming out here. Being that Colorado is a suburban-based type of area, right? Let's start with some averages. So the average lot size that you're going to find in a lot of these new build communities, I would say about a quarter acre is probably about average. You will see them, a bigger size lot is considered a third of an acre. Smaller size lot would be maybe like 0.15, whatever that comes out to in percentages.
Right, and when you guys are getting into your averages, it's gonna get specific to which lot you're looking at as well, and like how the home sits on that lot. Is it a corner lot? Is it not a corner lot? Because a lot of times you can have a quarter and it just not be structured very well. There's just the majority of it's on like the side of the house. There's not a lot of usability for it versus you know, somewhere it's like it's straight behind you, things like that. So obviously it's going to be case by case on how useful that space is for you guys.
Yeah, so like Will mentioned, if you are looking for acres, you will have to go on the outskirts to any of the places that he just mentioned. You will not find those in a traditional suburban type of neighborhood. However, what we find with the majority of you guys that come here is like, let's say you are wanting a bigger lot, right? And then we go out and look at some homes and we find a half-acre lot that backs to open space. Right. And you guys get out there and you're like, oh my God, I thought I wanted an acre. I actually just wanted to look at open space, but I'm more than good managing just this half-acre lot.
They don't actually, you guys don't actually say,
I've heard it.
Oh my God.
Verbatim.
It's more like, oh my God, it backs to open space. Lovely. Like, I don't know where that came from. A little mockery in there. That's definitely not how it's said. Either way, it is a pleasant surprise and lovely when you back to open space or whatnot. But again, it's just, this is why it's so important, not only to just figure out and locate the area that you guys want to be in, but then diving into those areas and really getting out and seeing these homes and what they serve as far as you and what you need it to serve, and just how the layouts and how functional they can be based off of what you need them for.
That's right. Now, the last point in here, guys, this is something to be aware of, but then a solution on the back end of it. And we've talked about this before, but basically, guys, our food scene, right? Up to this point, it has been less than impressive. I believe this year, we just got, what, 3 or 4 Michelin star restaurants.
Correct.
Which we had never had one before.
This is something that we've spoken about a little bit, but a lot of you aren't thinking this, and this is where it's a pleasant surprise for all of us as far as being able to enjoy this level of food. It attracts tourism, which is a lot of fun, but it's also just nice for, like, you can be local. I know, like, myself and my significant other, we always look at food, Instagram or whatever it may be, and it's always somewhere else. Now there's like these food places that I'm looking at and indulging. It's like, hey, this is downtown Denver. Hey, this is Denver Tech Center, and it's nice because we can actually go out and enjoy those things. And some are worth the hype, some aren't, but for the most part, when you see that level of standard on a restaurant, we haven't been to one that's not worth the hype when it comes to just, I guess, our personal preference.
Yeah, and then even just like fun food trucks and stuff that you'll find when you're downtown on the weekend or you're hitting brunch, you're just starting to see a really, really good food culture scene pop up here. And again, I think it is due to how many other people are coming here from other states. Just it's beginning to grow and become more diverse and high quality food, which I'm always really excited for.
And these places are available. There's not a lot of long lines for these restaurants. You can get reservations, you can get in. And you know why? Because the lines at Chick-fil-A and In-N-Out Burger are still there. Everyone is still raving about In-N-Out Burger.
Apparently.
The verdict's out. I love it. I lived in California for a decade. I loved them. I don't know why it's that big of a hype. Maybe it's because I'm used to it. But what's nice is you guys can have all the other good real food because these lines are still taken out.
That's right.
Another bonus for you guys, this will be more on the con side. If you're coming from Pittsburgh, if you're coming from Chicago, if you're coming from parts of California, anywhere in between, the Denver Broncos are in a little bit of a rebuild. So even though you guys might be excited to come here and excited to embrace a new team, we've got Sean Payton, he's the head coach. He's won a Super Bowl before. We're crossing our fingers. He does a great job. Russell Wilson just left town. He's going to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, we love you. Wish you guys the best. But we're going to be in a little bit of a rebuild as far as like restructuring some wins here. But what I will say is Denver Broncos have always been about winning, and the culture and going to the games are always a ton of fun. So if you can just hold on a little bit and help our rebuild and have a little faith with the team, you'll be in good hands. And speaking of being in good hands, that number popping right up in these hands below. And us reminding you that we are licensed brokers here in the state of Colorado, just as much as we love making these videos. We would love more to help you with those real estate needs. So that number that's still up below. We are the guys who answer the phone calls, text messages, and those emails. So if we can help you, we would love to. That being said, ditch the Honda Civic. Get your butt to Colorado. We'll see you guys very soon.
See you guys.